Hey everyone, it's Shay Seeking and welcome back. I am in the middle of doing some deep cleaning in my office slash studio. And I had originally wanted to, I've been wanted to get down here, but I've been so busy with my children, taking them back and forth this summer to different things or whatever. So I haven't been able to really buckle down. That's why I've been doing a lot of those videos at night when I'm totally out of it probably and I need to be getting some sleep, but I can't. So I was in here doing some cleaning. I wanted to put on music, but I was like, I really am not in any kind of a musical mood, whether it's just light, some kind of like light music with like just the flute and stuff. And then I don't want to listen to anything else. So that used to be my thing, to put on music and then clean. But a lot of that music that I put on, I don't listen to anymore. So whatever. But we're gonna just not get all the way off track. I was doing some cleaning down here, and then I decided to go ahead, and I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't been on Dane Calloway's platform for a while. And then I saw that there was something about Africa on there. So it kind of drew me in. I said, okay, I'll put this on while I move around, and do a couple things. But when he was talking about that alkebulan, or alkebulan, no, alkebulan. I think it was called something, um, I can't remember. Alkebulan or whatever this is, this word right here. I don't know if I misspelled it, because when I put it into my Google search with the keywords that I usually use, which is right here, antiquities, or I'll use something like that. And I don't like to put that kind of stuff out there that much, because, then there's a lot of stuff that I had originally shared a long time ago. And then, you come to find out that some of this stuff is deleted. And I'm thinking, why would they spend all that time scanning all these pages of this damn book in order to remove it? Like, that's just crazy to me. So I usually don't like to say what keywords I bring up to bring up certain things, but you got it. So anyways, so that word was sticking out to me. So I went ahead and Googled it and put a couple of different ways in to look for it, because he was saying that they had never used it before. And I found a book prior to this, and I might go into that one. And then this one came up. And then I went through and I don't find the word in there, but it popped up for that. So, I just went ahead and started looking into it. And we're going to go ahead and read a little bit today. And then, I'm going to pass the link on. So we're just going to start randomly here. There's other stuff I want to show you, but this kind of really struck me and made me want to go ahead and turn the screen share on. So Bagnum Aborigines, okay, so we're using that term here. Farther west, a branch of the Bagnans are the Casa or Casanich. It kind of reminded me of Carthage, but it doesn't. Tribe who gave their name to the river and whose former capital, Brickham, nearly destroyed by the Balantas, is still seen on the here. Let's bring this up a little bit. I just got my daughter some glasses, and I'm bragging about how I don't need them, but I'm probably that's probably gonna change real soon. So, anyways, uh, Brickham, nearly destroyed by the Balantas, is still seen on the left bank above the Sangrogu confluence. The Bognons are of middle size, much smaller than the Wolofs, but taller than the Philips. Okay, which very broad. Okay, with very broad Negro features. Okay, large mouth and depressed nose. Okay, so let's see which one we're talking about. Middle size, much smaller than the other ones, but uh, taller than the other one. Okay, so maybe we're talking about this dude right here. Oh, and he's got a gun. This dude right here, I'm guessing is what we're talking about. So he's, you know, this looks like the taller dude here. But this says these are phenotypes. Okay, so was a large mouth and depressed nose, like certain American tribes. They might listen to me closely now. This book is from 1890 or 1870 something. Maybe we could look at the date before I log out. Like certain American tribes, not American slaves, not American anything, but they have Negro features, large mouth, and depressed nose, like certain American tribes. They might be called Origines. um, Reminds me of the term that the sister that has that brand, Origine, I think it's apparel, and she does t-shirts, which is something that I also do on a smaller scale, but she does t-shirts. um, I want to say no, that's somebody else that does coffee mugs, but she does some really nice t-shirts and stuff like that. So on a larger scale than me, because I just make mine at home with my heat press in my workshop. And I think she has like a Teespring store if you guys want to check it out. And for me on this channel, I'm not all about just me. She has some good information as well when it comes to and I want to say it's Estila. But I think if you look up Origine Clothing, you'll find her clothing line. So I'm not one of those ones that's talking about me, even though I'm trying to, even though I have a couple t-shirts and stuff of my own. If you guys want to check that out, again, that is on Oracles Unchained, and I have an Etsy store. And you can order from me, and I'll make it for you within a couple of days and have it shipped back to you. So it's not a plug, it's just me saying that this remind me of her clothing line, and that she likes to use that term when she's talking about so-called black people in America rather than origine but rather than aborigines or indigenous and all this stuff. So that was really just drew to me, so I shared that with you guys. So you want to check her out, you want to check me out, it's fine. I'm all about passing on information. I don't care if somebody's doing the same thing as me and they're doing better than me. I'm still going to pass you on if I enjoy their content, or if they have something that I feel will help you in your search or in your calling. So, okay. So enough of that. So they usually call them origines or long-eared. Now, I don't know what that is means or whatever, but for they pierce the lobe in several places, introducing bits of bamboo which gradually uh, distend the cartilage down to the shoulders. Um, they also file their teeth to a point. Oh, okay. Like most of the coastal tribes. Okay, so this is still something that these people did over there. Although they look like they had these features. Look at me. They have these features just like the American tribes that look like Negroes, obviously. So let's see. The cartilage down to the shoulders. They also file their teeth to a point, like most of the coastal tribes, and deck themselves with copper bracelets and other ornaments of metal. From the Mohammedan marabouts, they procure. Okay, so charms, holy medals from the Portuguese priests. Okay, so um, this is what they take from the Portuguese priest, and subject to the ordeal of poisoning those accused of bewitching men or animals. The old matriarchal usage still prevail among them, as amongst most of the tribes along the coast. Okay, so the coast people hemmed the invaders. Okay, hemmed in by the invaders from the interior, have received from the Portuguese a collective name of Philips. Okay, remind me of the name Philip. Hmm. They certainly show a common affinity in their usage of language, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, that makes me want to look up more what they're going to say about American. Um, let's see, the Rio Grande, called also the Guinala, appears to be the chief waterway to the Portuguese Senegambia. Sound, sounds like it's the mix of Senegal and Gambia. It is supposed to rise on the same plateau as. Okay, so this is just some stuff. I mean, we could really go into detail and look. Okay, wait a minute. I wanted to see something says about some Negro race. Okay, the Bujagos or Bijugas, who occupy the Bisag. Look it, we just gonna pass up some of these words. Y'all can just do what you want with it. Archipelago, Pelago, and a part of the opposite coast. Okay, so what's the opposite coast? Okay, these people occupy this place and a part of the opposite coast. So, hey, well, if we're talking about, where are we talking about here? Papples or burns of certain chiefly districts between these places to the west closely resemble the physical appearance of and social usage. Bury the dead, mm, even okay. Let's see. Although showing this, and that. Okay, okay. So I'm not pretty sure, and I'm not gonna do anything like pick or pull up no map or anything, but we could just say that this coast could be on the opposite side of the world, so called, as so we say, or across the waters, what would then lead you over into the Americas. And since we already talked about the American tribes and how some of these tribes had the features like the Negro tribes of America, then we can go ahead and say that that could be talking about the people that were on the coast, um, that might have been uh, infiltrated by the uh, who we would think the 13 colonies and whatever. Okay, let's just say that area. Um, so because it also goes on to say a part of the opposite coast. So um, opposite would just mean something on the other side, and since the other side of Africa, or I guess it depends on what we're talking about, because one side, if we're talking about more southern, or what we would consider the south part of Africa, the other side of the coast of that would maybe be Mozambique. I think it's over there, or something on that side. But if you're talking about like that big middle section where all the vegetation looks like it is, and it's not the desertous area like the South Africa or North Africa, then there is no other real coast on the other side of that, except for that little piece maybe in between what is said to be Egypt or whatever over there. So we could either be talking about there, and I doubt that, or we could be talking about the other coast, which would be in the Americas, because the opposite coasts are a fine Negro race, proud, intrepid, and from infancy accustomed to endure physical pain unflinchingly. Remind me of, okay, sorry. Okay, y'all, you're going to get a little bit of everything here with me. When I just said that, physical pain, that we're proud and everything, it reminded me of me getting whoopings when I was little and you trying to hold it in or trying to act tough, and in my day, you got whooped a little bit more just until you let that peep out that you've been trying to hold in. But it reminded me of my daughter when she was younger. She was so stubborn. She would act like the whooping didn't hurt. But I left her be. I didn't go on until I got what I feel parents may have been looking for at some point in time. So, that's just funny. She would just not flinch, and she would just stand there and just be looking at me when I walked away. But I stopped that, I admit I was one, but I just don't see any, and now they're mad at me because their younger sister doesn't get the same treatment, but I rarely spank them. She had to really do something very off the chain for me to end up doing that. But anyways, I think we all, when we're in growing, and I was a young parent, have these things that we take on from our parents and parents and parents and parents, and it just goes through. So there's nobody to blame at the end of this. It's just a lot of stuff that we have gone through as a so-called race of people that's different than other people. And I don't blame anybody for doing that. But, I just think in this day and age, for me and the way I've changed, I don't want to be putting my hands on anybody, to each his own. I think there's a different way to do it. But if I have to, I guess I would just get up in it. But I really haven't, had to, whatever. So, anyways, this is off the subject. So, unflinchingly, they were long dread by the Europeans as formidable um, corsairs, being the only people on the seaboard who ventured on the high seas and any distance from the coast. Okay, so let's just wait. Here's some more of that. Wait, let's see. In the metal, in their plumes and metal ornaments. But they soon learned to exchange their primitive bows and arrows tipped with poison fish bone. Okay, I thought I was gonna say gold because I've been running into that a lot. So, anyways, and sometimes I think we are, maybe speaking of West Africa, when we're talking about this term at different points in the story, I think we are maybe considering these people or some part of America as a West Africa. That's just, I mean, I haven't confirmed that, and I don't 100% believe it, but I feel like there was always still a connection there. That's just what I think. So Islam is spreading amongst all the coast tribes, and okay, so what do we see? Already reaching the way in the pre-Mohammedan times, the natives were mostly devil worshippers. Oh, okay, well, yeah, no, what is that, the heathen or savage, like I was saying in the other video? That's what that brings up to me, but I doubt that that's what they were. They probably just were against their stuff, because let's cut. Really, the only thing that we've seen, the so-called devil, and I do believe that term, that the devil, Satan, and the serpent are not actually the same people, and he's really mentioned not really that much in the book. So I don't see why we wouldn't just keep the same term throughout the whole thing when we're talking about him. So it just makes me still wonder. And the only thing that really stands out to everybody, whether you've read the Bible or not, is the whole story about being deceived about the fruit or whatever. But I really just think that since we're looking at it in a different aspect, I think it was somebody saying, um, we can break that scripture down another time. But I think there was more people in that present conversation, and I think that if the serpent did tell this person to eat that apple and said, "Oh, that God know that you will become like gods and all this other stuff," whatever, I think that we were not talking about an actual piece of fruit, an apple, or whatever people want to say. That we're actually talking about a bloodline or a people, that were located in a certain part of the country or in that on that landmass that you were not supposed to be dealing with or mixing with. I mean, that's the only literal thing. Then that's what we're going to be doing here, is bringing things into reality. So, so they were just being themselves, basically, probably at this point in time, until somebody else came and started giving them these things and teaching them about something else. Okay. So to pray to the good spirits, okay, considering it useless to pray to the good spirits, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And it could be. I'm not saying that all the people of darker tones around the world were just grand people and they didn't do horrible things to each other. For us to think that we was just living in peace and harmony from the jump, that I don't even think that's accurate. So anyways, amongst these populations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys that, and I hope I'm not too far from the other stuff that was actually the first thing that I saw on here. Maybe I'll come back later on and highlight the term America and see what else we can find, or maybe some of you would like to do that. But I noticed that this is like some permed kind of straight hair. I don't know if they had no perms supposedly over in that area, if it was created over here, and I don't think they had no, didn't look like they was going to no stores and nothing to get no perm. So just looking at the hair and stuff looks totally different from the people even that we see over there now. And when we look at those people over there, some of these tribes or some of these peoples of the continent, the landmass of so-called Africa, which has several different countries in there anyway. Um, you'll see some of the people that have that really tight, uh, rough, kinky hair that turns into like little beads on their head. I'm not trying to be funny or anything like that. Like little, not bantus, but they kind of look like it would be bantus. And then when you start looking into the whole Buddha and the whole Asian kind of thing, then I start looking at those people different because those people actually look like Chinese people with dark skin, if you really want to be honest. And so I'm wondering if those people were pushed out of what is now known as so-called China, because now that when you look there, the representation that they give us, or the perception that they give us, is that there are no more. Then we know at one time they were there, and I have documented information that states that, and that they were the black Japanese and stuff like that were pushed out. So I mean, this is something that actually really happened. And it's amazing to me when I look at that population now of China having so many people, and most of them don't have that darker. I haven't seen everybody, of course, but I'm saying the people that they give us perception of that live there, you don't see any darker people. But you do look in Africa, and if you don't just go off of the mainstream way of looking at things, you will see that a lot of those tribes over there have Asian features to the T. So something really was going on here. Okay. And then you'll notice, like, even the guys I just showed you above, they look like they have more traits of um, so-called Arabics or Middle Eastern peoples of, today. So it's just very, intriguing to, look at this information. I mean, that's it. And to think that people wasn't already just traveling around the world, trading and trading and doing these other things, would just be ridiculous. So, oh, so I was first looking at this kind of stuff right here. So let's see. Unworthy of supreme beings, vassals and captives, the subjects who are true nobles, being descended from the first owners, can constitute the bulk of the primitive Zenaga, Naga, Zen Naga population. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why all this stuff be happening to me when I'm on camera. So it says, beneath whom are the captives? Okay. So beneath whom are the captives? Nearly all blacks obtained by conquest or purchase from every part of Sudan. There's a lot of stuff going on, I think, in Sudan or Sudan. The fair element is said to form about a 20th of the black, one half of the half caste Berbers, and the Arab. Oh, see, and this is what I was just talking about. This is what I was just talking about. That those features look a lot like, and when you look at this guy, because I hadn't read up here, I was gonna start right here at the inhabitants, but since I'm bringing you guys in, I kind of wanted to just go up a little bit to bring some more. But look at this guy here. The skin is just different. Look at his hair, even. You see what I'm saying? So everybody in Africa didn't have the particular hair, that. And then this reminds me of Indians sometimes, like but when it goes to India, the women have a certain features that are kind of similar to even this guy right here. But this guy looks more like the Arab man with his features, but more like the Indian, like from India woman, especially the more slender, taller women with the more slender features in their faces. But the men of India, if I think right off the top of my head, I'm getting a strong sense of like even some kind of Mongolian something or some kind of thing like that. Not thing, but something like that that is mixing in with these particular people. So I'm sorry. This is all just theory. Everything that we know and all the information we have been given is the same thing. So, okay. The fair element is said to form okay, so the elements of this or these people, a 20th of the black, one half and a half caste Berbers, and Arabs of the rest of the Senegalese Moors. So, okay, so now we're going into a little bit more depth. We're talking about Senegalese Moors. The numerous geographical terms in the Western District north of the Lower Senegal uh, attest the long persistence of Berber dialect amongst the Zenagas. One of these dialects alone survives amongst a few groups of the mm, Trararza, okay, people amongst the Marabouts and the Lamtuna branch of Great whatever Confederation. Okay, everywhere, da 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 da, Berber speech, but wherever, whatever be their origin, the Moors. Oh, I guess this might have been some good information to read. Their origin, the Moors have a proud spirit and noble courage. They are inured to the hardship of long expeditions, and I'm pretty sure maybe they were going back and forth to the Americas, and they were able to cope with them waters that a lot of people may have not have been able to do. And maybe that's why some of the people that say they came across the Atlantic had these people on board with them as well. So, hardships and surprisingly frugal when not living at expense of others. Okay, as in so many parts of Africa, the young women are fattened for matrimony. Now that sounds like something that I think I heard of in Morocco. I was watching a documentary on that, how they fatten up the little girls there in order to get them ready, like a plump pig or something. I thought that was just one of the grossest things I've ever heard. But hey, to each his own. It must have made sense to these people at this point in time. In several tribes, their upper incisors are made to project forward. Oh, hold on. They want to fatten up the women. And in several tribes, their upper incisors are made to project forward so as to raise the upper and the rest of the lower lip. Uh-huh. Sound like some weird kind of vampire kind of stuff to me. But despite their tribal feuds, the caste prejudices. Okay, so there was also still prejudices. The Mohammedan Moors. Okay, now here's another type of Moor. um, have always combined against the hated Christian. Okay, wait a minute. The Mohammedan Moors have always combined against the hatred uh, Christian. I don't know. The French have failed to reduce by dividing them, okay? Divide and conquer. And although far less numerous than the black population of Senegal Basin, there's another Basin or Basin. They have, and this is why I think that we may be in the Quran, why it's so similar, is because you have the same tactics used in order to do the same thing to these particular people, right? But it's in a different term because maybe this would work better there. They were being indoctrinated by the Arabic way over there. And then Christianity kind of came here, and maybe that's why you see more people that are Muslim or Muslim that over there, and then you have more so-called Christians. But of course we have a lot of Muslim here too. But you know what I'm trying to say, okay? So, okay, black population of the Senegal. So, okay, so there must have been a different type of population there as well. They have resisted the encroachment of the whites far more resolutely in war and pitless and after the battles, sparing only the women and children. So now this reminds me automatically of those harems that we see with these more Moroccan dudes or these Moors or whatever with these white women naked in their parlors or whatever. Look like they might be doped up on something, but I don't know. I'm just assuming. I'm just looking at the images and reading the descriptions. So that reminds me of that, sparing the women and children. But who knows if these were lighter, because it just said the black population of these people encroach for the whites. Okay, so if we're talking about whites, and I think here it explains that whites could have meant something else. But just let's just use what we have for right here. So if that we're talking about blacks and whites and the population or whatever, so we're assuming that maybe these people that they took were white women, so-called white women. Um, the Negroes have many um, axioms breathing the spirit of hatred which they cherish against their Berber oppressors. So then you have to look at the Berbers and what really are we talking about there. So a tent shelter, nothing, whatever. If a Moor and a viper cross paths, kill the Moor. Um, are saying this, and that. We're just skimming through by the Arab maxim that the Negro must be trampled underfoot and impoverished to make him submissive and respectful. Well, damn. Let me just go back and read that again. So they cherish, okay, the Negroes have many axioms that, breathing the spirit of hatred which they cherish against their Berber oppressors, a tent shelter, nothing honest unless it be the horse that carries it. Okay? If a Moor and a viper cross thy path, kill the Moor. Um, I feel like something else was right here. Are saying current among the Jollof. Okay, that's the same time I'm seeing this word this week. And perhaps it sufficiently accounted for the Arab for by the it looked like a whole bunch of words is missing right here. That's just, I don't know. I hate when they do that with the text. For something by the Arab maxim that the Negro must be trampled underfoot and impoverished to make him submissive. Do you see this? And respectful, although split up into endless clans, sects, and subgroups of all sorts. The Moors constitute two natural divisions only: the northern tribes who never leave the steppes verging on the desert, and the the Gubla, Gubla or southern tribes who migrate to and fro between the fluvial uh, trading stations and campgrounds of the interior. Okay. Um, French have classed the three groups as the Trezas. That kind of remind me of Tazars, but I know it's not saying that probably. The Braknas and the whatever. Okay. Let's see. France only Moorish tribes. Da da da. The Negro Wolof still remember the time when the Ghana district and north of the lower Senegal was occupied by them. Okay. But they were compelled to withdraw. Okay. Fell in the hands, okay, before the whole territory, the gates of St. Louis, oh, gradually fell into the hands of the Moors, even down to the recent times. Um, the Trezas. Um, okay, just kind of skimming through a little bit. Um, just skimming through. Certainly, the Wolofs are blacks of blacks. Wait, okay, wait a minute. People, speeches, and barbarians, Barth, however, uh, propose perhaps that the less uh, probable sense of blacks in opposition to the neighboring Fulas. Oh, I think those people are have been displaced as well, or red people. And see these people I think are in India. Maybe I think I can't remember. Um, Certainly now see these are black. So I guess they had really dark skin. Okay, and it okay. So certainly the Wolves are blacks. Their skin, their shiny skin having the color of ebony, and their very lips being black. Okay, along of a lighter shade than the rest of the body. They are distinguished from most Negroes of the seaboard. Mm. So here's a little map right here. We're just skimming through. Let me see. I think it was something I wanted to show you guys that had. Okay, here. Okay. The Sharakos and the Kasonakis and the Jalonis keys. The predominant Negro element is the middle of Senegal region, formerly known as the Galam country, are commonly known for the name Sarako. They call themselves Soniki, which said to have originally meant white, but which the Gambia Basin has become synonymous with impious and drunkard. Okay, so let's see, a slight dash of Berber blood, and a fair complexion, but most ethnologies agree that Barth and group them with the Mandingian family. Okay, take place in this, and that. Okay, so there's more about those people, and then it says the complexion is dark. Wait, okay, scattered in small, isolated groups throughout Senegambia. Okay, the Siracos are found in most compact. It just kind of remind me of something we was just reading in Deuteronomy about spreading people around in small groups. You know, they would spread them around in small groups and then have them, take over the land or whatever. Um, but and that might be why a lot of people say that the uh, Quran is kind of sounds very similar to the Bible. But again, who knows what's going on really. Um, Senegal between Bafulab and Bako, considerably smaller than the Seerers. The Seerers remind me of Saracens, but I know that's probably not what we're talking about. And the Wolofs, they are still taller than the Fulas, but less graceful in carriage. Their complexion is dark chestnut, inclining to red, and according to Tuatan, the true meaning of Sirocco is red men. The facial prognathism is very marked, and they are further distinguished by the retreating brow, slightly prominent cheekbones, thick nose, receding chin, woolly but not curly hair. Okay, so they had to be distinctive. See, you can have woolly curly hair, or you can have woolly hair, but not curly, like I told you about the hair I was talking about just a minute ago. um, and it gets so dry or whatever they do to it, it turns into like those little beads or whatever. Okay, most of the women dress their hair in the form of helmets, um, elegantly interwoven with glass trinkets, blah blah blah. Okay, all right. And then I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to share. So I think I'm going to. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. The recent migration and invasion of the Fulas are recorded in history, but wait, few nomad Fulas were captured in the confines of their territory, but they were scarcely represented amongst the gangs transported to the New World. Huh, okay. The recent migration and invasion of the Fulas are recorded in history, but where were the settled? Where they were settled in the early period of Islam, are they Negroes who have acquired a fair complexion and regularly features crossing the Arab and Berber? Are they kinsmen of the Nubian, the ancient Egyptian? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that was the other one. And then I think that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys now. And I will leave the link to this book in case you want to go through it in the description box. And I will see you guys soon.